Library. It's a group of neighbors who are working to bring back the Oakland Public Library that was in this neighborhood for about 100 years. And so we welcome you to this forum. A group of neighbors from D1 and D3 wanted to put this together to introduce the candidates to you. And I am here to introduce you this evening to our moderator. Our moderator is the lovely Dr. Norma Francisco, who is an educational psychologist and the former owner of the East Oakland Kumon Math and Reading Center. She's chaired the UCSF Dental Hygiene Program and currently chairs the National Dental Association's Scholarship Fundraising Committee. In other words, she doesn't want all your money. She just wants to ask you for a little bit. Dr. Francisco lives in District 2 and is a lovely, wonderful woman that I've had the extreme pleasure of getting to meet recently, and looking forward to working with her in the future and supporting her efforts and fundraise for the National Dental Association. So make sure you reach out to her and support her efforts in that. Black dentists need love too. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here with each and every one of you, and I'm so excited that so many of you have chimed in. I even see the president-elect of the National Dental Association has chimed in, and she just found out about this a few minutes ago, and that's Dr. Pamela Alston, who is in our midst. So anyway.
Relax, you're not a cop.
It doesn't matter. I'm in the car.
Yeah, I'm doing just fine. Be quiet.
Paul Marshall, mute yourself, Paul Marshall. Please, thank you.
So we're going to start with 2-minute introductions from each of the district candidates. Then I'm going to introduce an issue, or in some cases, 2 issues, and the candidates will choose which one they want to address. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to talk about everything, but most of the candidates will let you sign up for a one-on-one with them on their website. So if you want to ask more, if you want to ask more questions. So for every issue, we'll start with a different district, and everyone will have 2 minutes to state their position. Our timekeepers will ring a bell at the 1 minute and 45 seconds so that you know that it's time to wrap up. Without further ado, we'll start the intros with Derek Johnson, who's running for the at-large seat. And if you have questions, please type them into the chat. We'll take as many as we can. And you can also email to our host, and that's at this particular email, questions@oaklandchallengeforum.com. Please be civil, which we know you will. And if you're not, we'll shut down the chat and limit questions to the email if it deteriorates. But we're really excited about this opportunity to get together and hear from our challengers. And lastly, please note that the event is being recorded. So first, I will call on Derek Johnson.
All right, well, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for having me this evening. And it's nice to know that there's neighborhood people and citizens that want to hear from us. So we're glad to be here. And I'm just going to send my prayers out for my campaign manager, Michelle, who's dealing with a family issue. I know she's online, so I just want to put that in there. And to Steph Walton, too, I hear just had one. But I'm honored to be here tonight. These are uniquely challenging times. People are scared. People are out of work, sick, and dying. At the same time, we've been given this historic chance to finally get closer to our goal of achieving true racial and social justice for all. I'm running for Oakland City Council at large because I believe this unique moment demands a different kind of leader. I believe we need a council member at large who understands the struggles of the most vulnerable in our community and has a proven ability to transform lives for those who need it most, and who's ready to help lead Oakland's recovery and then tackle the many challenges that have faced our community for far too long. I was raised in the West Oakland Acorn housing projects by a single mom who worked 3 jobs just so I could make it. I saw people rise from poverty and make it in the most inspiring ways and fall in the most tragic. Thanks to a strong extended family, I was able to go to college and HBCU. I have on the little HBCU t-shirt right now, go Fists. then came back to my hometown, eager to make a difference for the community who made me who I am. I opened the Home of Chicken and Waffles restaurant in Oakland's Jack London Square, and it would become a pillar of this community. While I've created hundreds of jobs for Oaklanders over the years, I'm most proud of the fact that 70% of my employees at one point or the other are formerly incarcerated people, folks who nobody had given a second chance or even a first chance to be honest. I find nothing more rewarding and inspiring than helping someone turn their life around. I've also served Oakland from many perspectives, helping nonprofits, foundations, and the city itself reduce violence, implement job settlements. And I'm endorsed by a lot of people, the mayor, Senator Kamala Harris, and a bunch more, but thank you.
Thank you, Derek. I don't think you took your full 2 minutes, but it was
Oh,
very.
the bell rang. I thought that was that a bell?
No, that means you have 15 more seconds.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. Well then, here. My apology. I thought the bell meant that I was to shut up. Okay. Well, look, where was I? At city itself, reduce violence, implement job training programs, and provide educational opportunities for low-income youth. It was an honor to receive the City of Oakland's Humanitarian Work Award for the work that I've done. Now I'm ready to lead City Hall, help COVID-19 recovery that leaves nobody behind, and I'm ready to move us forward on racial, social, and environmental justice. I'm honored to be endorsed by hopefully our next Vice President, our homegirl, Senator Kamala Harris, Assembly Member Buffy Wicks, Oakland Mayor Libby Shaft, State Board of Equalization Malia Cohen, Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs, BART Board President Latifah Simon, and community and faith-based leaders throughout Oakland. And I'd be honored to have your vote and your support. Thank you.
And thank you. I want to say that we held the 99th birthday party at your restaurant for Mother Vera Baggett, and you were very cordial, so we really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for your statement. And just, it warms my heart to hear that you have supported formerly incarcerated citizens. So that's an issue.
I'm very passionate about that, extremely.
And I'm passionate about it too. Our next speaker will be Nancy Sidebotham. And when you introduce yourself, would you please introduce the district that you're representing? Is Nancy here?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Right here. Hi, my name is Nancy Sidebotham. I'm also running for at-large. I have lived in Oakland since 1964. I've lived in Oakland since 1964. I have went to Maryland. I went to Cal State Hayward. I've lived in my area since 1980. And I have fought and been involved in politics since roughly 1982. And I've run for office before, and I continue to run. And the reason I continue to run is because people need to be educated. People need to understand what the real issues are, and not just be given hype because it sounds good, and then we go back to business as usual as soon as the elections are over. Oakland is at a crucial time. We have, for the last 30 years, been going downhill. We have no major businesses in Oakland anymore. We have very little sales tax in Oakland, and we have laws being passed without the input from the residents in the community. And all this needs to stop. Oakland needs a representation. They need a city council person at large that is going to bridge the districts and work with the individual districts and the community in those districts, as well as the council person. This has not been done other than when something drastic is needed at the expense of the community. And that's where laws have been passed in Oakland, and this needs to change. I've seen too much in Oakland over the years that has caused major issues to be fall through the cracks while the citizens get hurt, and certain developers and certain people that are in the know and behind the scenes continue to make money and take it out of Oakland at our expense. Our streets are a mess. Our roads are filthy. We've got illegal dumping. We've been made promises. We've had people hired to do the job, and as soon as the city gets the money passed, all of a sudden those jobs disappear, but the money continues to be collected. Seconds. Thank you very much. And so I am honored to have the backing of the residents of Oakland. I did not go out and ask for anybody that of supposedly named individuals, because that's not who I'm representing. I'm representing us, the people and the citizens of Oakland. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy. You touched on many issues that are near and dear to my heart too. I really appreciate everything that you've had to say.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Elias Farron. Elias, you need to unmute yourself. Elias, would you unmute yourself? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I was hitting the button rapidly. Maybe I re-muted myself. But once again, my name is Eli Farron. I'm running for Oakland City Attorney, which is a race that's for the whole city. I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I moved here in '06 after Hurricane Katrina destroyed my community. And Oakland became a community and a home when I really, really needed one. I currently live in District 6 with my wife and my beautiful 3 daughters. And I spent 12 years working as a deputy city attorney in the city attorney's office in Oakland. And I left that position because I felt that the government should be more responsive to the citizens. And we should also be following the charter. And most of my tenure as a deputy city attorney was spent in the community. I was talking to people and listening to their problems and solving those problems. And as a result, my 3 priorities have turned into addressing blight and illegal dumping, streamlining efficiency and improving transparency within the office, and providing strong oversight and accountability. I've only been running for about 3 months, and I have the support of Alameda County Supervisor Keith Carson, BART Board President Latifah Simon, former Assembly Member Sandre Swanson, former Mayor Jean Kwan, former Council Member Jane Bruner, former Council Member Ignacio de la Fuente, and the former head of the City Attorney's Office Litigation Division, Randy Hall. He was the head of litigation for the past 3 city attorneys. Civil rights attorney Adante Pointer, OACPAC, SEIU Local 1021, the Block by Block Organizing Network, Our Revolution, Oakland East Bay Democratic Club, the East Bay Young Democrats, the Latino Task Force, and the Building Trades. And I really feel that you should know who the city attorney is. And a lot of people don't know who the city attorney is. And I feel unfortunate about that, because if people don't know, they're paying taxes for this position. If they don't know about what that position is and who's running it, is a failure of the office. So I plan to be accountable to the community, be more responsive to the needs of the community. And all of us are hungry for accountability and reform. And we're all here for a Challengers Forum, and I'm up to the challenge.
Seconds.
So I hope you get your support, and I look forward to working with everybody in here today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Elias. Again, we're going to have some hard choices to make, because everyone so far has sounded really great. And that's what we need for Oakland. Our next speaker is supposed to be Steph Walton, but I'll have Elise, would you read a statement?
Yeah, it's just a short statement. Steph
Thank
had
you.
called me. Steph was really excited to be here, and she had called me earlier in the day, and she just wanted to make sure she understood the agenda. And anyway, when we talked, she was kind of working through her thoughts, and it was really great. And then she texted me just as the forum was beginning. I just received devastating news about my father's twin brother, and I need to be with him. And I'm sure you understand, as we all put our families first. So she will be at a forum hosted by the League of Women Voters, and I'm going to put that on the website so that people can, who are interested in hearing from Steph, can go to that forum. I think Tri will also be there, and Dan Kalb.
And which district is she?
She's District 1.
District 1, thank
Yeah.
you. So our prayers go out to her and her family. Next, we will hear from Tri Go. And remember to tell us which district you're running for. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Tri Ngo. I'm running for District 1 City Council. And thank you for the music. I'm running to solve homelessness, create affordable housing so that we continue to have a diverse Oakland, and also reimagine public safety so that it addresses the root causes of violence and crime in our communities, and not just taking punitive actions, which we know doesn't work. The way I'm going to do this is similar to what Eli was talking about. We need to expand participation and awareness in government. I'm doing that 2 ways. With my campaign, I am accepting a maximum of $35 per person in campaign contributions. So there's no question about who I represent and who I'm influenced by. I'm influenced by the people. And also I'm committed to creating an online voting platform so that more Oaklanders can weigh in on the decisions made in the council, so that we expand grassroots participation and awareness, thereby increasing accountability. My background is I was born in a refugee camp, came to the US when I was 2, grew up on welfare in inner city Philadelphia, moved to Atlanta, and eventually got my electrical engineering degree from MIT and a PhD in biomedical engineering from Johns Hopkins. I moved to the Bay Area to Oakland to work at Tesla to solve the climate crisis. And I love Oakland, but what I was seeing was that the neighborhood was drastically changing. People weren't saying hi to each other. The Oakland I love was disappearing. That sense of community was falling apart. Diversity was disappearing. Homelessness was increasing, and there's stats to prove that. There are vacant lots, and I was wondering who's doing anything about this. And so instead of
15 more seconds.
Instead of staying on the sidelines, I decided to make it my problem and to take responsibility for what's happening. And I would love your support in solving these problems. And I bring something very different to the table, my commitment to expanding democracy, strengthening our democracy, as well as my problem-solving skills.
Thank you, Troy. Would you tell me again which district you're representing or you're running for? Is that
North Oakland, District 1.
Okay, thank you. And our educational backgrounds are somewhat similar, so that got my attention. And welcome back to Oakland. Next and last but not least is Seneca Scott, who offered to teach me how to shoot a gun that I've had for 40 years and never took out. I've only taken it out of the box. It's never been fired, but I'm too nervous. So Seneca, would you let us hear from you?
That was quite an introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with this audience. My name is Seneca Scott. For those of you who don't know me, I came to Oakland in 2012 as the East Bay Director for SCIU 10-1. I did that for 2 years and took a much needed sabbatical after a long 15 years in the labor movement organizing, to do some community organizing as a community farmer and a chef mainly, and follow my passion with that. I really endeared myself to the lower bottoms Oakland community, fortunate enough to live in a place, the home of the Black Panthers, that is really an awesome thing. I feel the energy vibrating through these streets as we put in work for the people. Many of you don't know this. We have a long legacy of civil rights in my family. As a Scott, Coretta Scott King is my grandfather's niece. I'm not sure exactly what that makes her to me, maybe a first or second cousin. But many of you don't know, Martin married up when he married Coretta. She had 2 master's degrees and was from a very prominent and educated family. I hope to continue that proud legacy and activism for the people, and for a family that knows what the ultimate sacrifice is, knows what true revolutionary politics is, and how to operate in those spaces. So it's a very exciting time for me to be running for office. Those of you who know about organizing know that we like to play the background and we like to put our constituents forth. I will continue to do that. The theme of my campaign is Neighbors Together. I believe that we have an enormous amount of talent and intention in District 3, and I'm really excited continuing to harness that talent, learn more about my neighbors and neighborhoods that I don't live in, even my current neighborhood in the lower bottoms currently. So I know you guys got some questions, so I'll save the meat for that. But yes, I'm excited to be here. Thank you everyone for having me, and let's get to it.
Thank you, Seneca. We look forward to the meat that you will be discussing later. Our first issue is the homeless encampments. And the question is, what can we do to remove the encampments and transition residents into permanent long-term housing? And we are going to, let's see. Elisa, am I supposed to read all the issues or just that first one?
Just that first one.
Okay,
Yeah, just like a homelessness, it's on the table, and also it's been asked in the chat by Kathy Leonard too.
Okay,
So,
all right.
or is
Thank
it
you.
Kathy? I think, yeah, Kathy has asked, do you have a comprehensive proposal for sheltering and housing these restaurants? I mean, these,
All
sorry, you guys, residents. Take it
All
away,
right.
guys.
So we're going to rotate a different person each time. So we're going to start with Nancy Sidebotham. We will give you the first opportunity to address this question.
Okay.
So if you need it again, what can we do to remove the encampments and transition residents into permanent long-term housing? And perhaps you heard what Elise read from the chats that's also related to that.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
One of the things that's been brought up, that I brought up, and I brought it up a couple of times, and it's been taken to the City Council by Rebecca, to the public safety, to the life enrichment, I believe, is that the county, one, should be taking care of the homeless. That is their job. They have the Department of Health and Human Services. That's what we pay our tax, one of the things we pay our taxes for. And the county has been neglectful of assisting Oakland at all. And it turns out, based on something that Lynette said one night, was that the county and the city have a rivalry going on based on something that happened years ago. The problem with that is we, the citizens, need to come together and stop that and demand that the county start doing the work. But one of the suggestions that I came up with that has been taken to the council is that the fairgrounds be opened up in Pleasanton. It has the land, it has the parking area, it has the buildings, water, electricity, etc. The cities around us, including Oakland, start building the housing that we need, rather than continuing to move these people around at the expense of the community and expense to these people who don't know whether their lives are coming and going, such as what just happened the other day. We pass ordinances in Oakland and laws in Oakland saying we can't touch anybody, that the police can't touch them, that nobody can bother them, and then all of a sudden somebody doesn't like something, and now we have a 50-foot rule from schools, etc., because one council member decided that he wanted to make change because he was getting a lot of heat. So I mean, we need to be the voice that speaks in Oakland, not the council members, not the mayor, but we the people. And that's one of the things that Oakland has never done. We've never come together and been a voice as a whole. Nonprofits come on board and are voices, and they ship people in and pay people to come to council, etc. But we need to be the ones speaking up and demanding that the supervisors have the Health and Human Services do their job, open the fairgrounds for these people to have a place that are secure for a while. It's not going to be open to the public for quite a while. And let us start building the housing that we need to build in Oakland while these people are safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we will hear from Elia. Am I saying your name correctly? Is it Elias or Eli? You're muted. Unmute, please. Unmute. You're muted. Now you're unmuted.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Eli. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Eli is better. I'm Elias when I'm in trouble. So, so with regards to the structure of the city of Oakland, the city attorney enforces policy and the city council makes policy. But with regards specifically to homelessness, I feel that we need to improve the efficiency and transparency. So the city attorney's office needs to do a better job of educating the electeds, the staff, and the residents about laws and what we can do and not what we can't do. We need to establish a baseline. So the interesting thing about homelessness is we've already have laws on the books that we can legally enforce. We have CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act. We have the ADA, the American with Disability Act, which pertains to all places in public. We have laws with regards to encroachments, illegal camping, blocking roads and crosswalks, and interfering with waterways. And with regards to why things aren't being done within the city, a lot of things are being held up by the city attorney's office. A lot of people know this. So there's been a homeless policy set forth and been sitting on the city attorney's office for like over a year to no avail. So, and I've heard too many times that things are being stopped by the city attorney's office and not responding to people's needs, which is unfortunate and unacceptable. So I plan on being accountable to the community and more responsive to the needs of the community. And that's why I'm running.
Thank you. That was a surprise.
About this.
It was a surprise that the city attorney's office has so much to do with homelessness. Thank you. Next, we will hear from Try, Go.
Thanks. I think when I speak to residents in Oakland, the sense I get is that there's a lot of money being spent on this issue, but we don't see the results. And there's frustration from nonprofits. There's frustration from houseless residents. There's frustration from everyone as to why isn't this money being spent more effectively. And I am determined to do that. I want to ensure that we prioritize providing as many folks as possible with stable and sanitary living conditions and a path towards permanent housing. My team has introduced a plan called Camp Assist, where first, we support those living in encampments with infrastructure, including internet access and sanitation. We will interview every single houseless resident to determine their needs as to mental health or whatever other social services they need. Every houseless resident is different. Then we will provide transition options to more permanent housing. And then once they're in a semi-permanent housing situation, like a tiny home or a tough shed village where that is highly cost efficient. Once they're in that situation, then we will proactively partner with nonprofits and private organizations, funneling those resources, which are non-governmental, non-taxpayer dollars, proactively providing those services to houseless residents, and ensure that houseless residents have a period of 2 years where they can stay in one place so that they can make the transition to permanent housing. If we need more funding for this, I am willing to increase the taxes on vacant properties so that the question of why is there a vacant lot here?
15 seconds.
I am willing to increase the taxes on those properties to fund this project. And also, of course, we have questions about the OPD budget, and I'm willing to look into that as well. Solving homelessness is my #1 priority. I think that in solving this, we will solve a lot of other issues we see in Oakland. It is a symptom of underlying causes.
Thank you, Try. I heard some good suggestions, and I also heard one suggestion that raised a red flag, but we're here to hear from everyone. So next we will hear from Seneca.
Oh, I'm unmuted now. All right, cool. Hey, Eli, I did not know that either. Thank you for that info. So that's useful information. So I'll start with some brief stats that are shocking to me. For those of you who have seen my campaign videos, you know a little bit about this. 56% of the unhoused in Alameda County live in District 3 alone. The whole county, District 3. Of that, we have received nowhere near proportional services and intensity. And that is due to a lack of us making any demands and our elected making demands of the city and county that we do something about that. And I want to draw a clear distinction between the demand and the acts. I believe we have people who ask for things, but demands come with consequences. And in order to levy consequences in the political realm, you have to be in touch with your constituents in an intimate way that they're willing to go and stand up for you and make these demands with you. I see that lacking in our incumbency, and I think that we need to change. So for the housing, we have intense mental health issues and drug dependency issues. These are the primary drivers of people who are forced outside. Even people who are outside because of economic issues, if you're not housed soon, they're going to turn to drugs for self-medication. They're going to be driven crazy to mental health issues because of just how hard it is to be outside. So we need to prioritize people who are outside due to housing issues, immediately get them in housing. We need to get families in housing. I've seen family units of 12 kids plus, maybe minimum 12, over in I think it's D1 or D3. It's a weird thing by Jack London where they are mixed up. But it's really alarming to have children outside. It's alarming to have the amount of blight that we have on Wood Street. These are really shocking things that we deal with every day here in D3, and we definitely need to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Seneca. Our next question. Oh,
Uh,
Derek, we haven't
yeah.
heard from Derek.
That's okay.
No, it's not. It's your turn.
No, okay. You know, we need to recommit ourselves to tackling homelessness. As I drive around Oakland, I don't recognize the city that I grew up in, born and raised, 3 generations here. It is with great sadness that I see my brothers and sisters that look just like me in the streets. Up to 80% of the homeless in the city are African American, and a large number entering that population are youth from the LGBTQ plus community. So what we need to do is we need to really start scaling up our strategic partnerships with the county, state, and feds. We need to really dissect the homelessness population. We need to look at those that need the mental and social services, and recommit ourselves to having an inclusive relationship with the state and the county. The public health director, Kimmy Watkins, is a high school friend of mine, and there's no reason why the council person, the at-large council person, is not more uniting in their approach in governing our city. We also need to supercharge innovative programs that work. We have Keep Oakland Houses kept 3,000 people from being evicted. There's a large number of the population that are homeless that are working and that are living in their cars. They're the easiest to get housed. And also Building Futures is another program. How can we get this funding? It's very, saddens me that the current council hasn't passed any legislation to permanently eliminate this problem, not management, not putting people on cruise ships or putting in a building where there's no wraparound services, because that's just shifting the problem from one area to another. We need to permanently, eliminate this problem once and for all. And when I get into this seat, I definitely plan on doing it. It's the number one reason why I decided
15 seconds.
number one reason why I decided to run for this seat. We also need to make sure that we look at the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and why none of those funds have been diverted over to homeless programs to eliminate this problem. Thank you for your question.
And thank you. I have a friend who feeds the unhoused people once every other week.
I do every night.
All righty then.
Every night. You can come to Chicken and Waffles and they line up and get a meal. I had a problem last week. Somebody didn't like what they gave them and threw a rock through a window, believe it or not.
Wow.
But, we'll still do it.
Well, thank you for your generosity. And I was just going to say, she was in tears at the fact that so many of them, 90% are young Black males. And they could be somebody's son, brother, nephew. So we really need to tackle this issue. Our next question deals with illegal dumping. What will you do about illegal dumping and the trash on our streets? And we'll start with Eli. Are you muted, Eli?
Yeah, I'm muted.
Okay.
All right. So with regards to illegal dumping and blight, those are some of the main things I'm worried about. I've dealt with blight while I was with the city attorney's office. I've dealt with illegal dumping while I was with the city attorney's office. And these are when I become city attorney, I want to fight Oakland reality, not a political philosophy. So one of the main reasons I think we could do this is by stopping the log jams and stopping the delays. So with regards to code enforcement and blight and illegal dumping, typically, if any of you were my client, you can't come to me directly as an attorney and ask me to help you with a cleanup. So it has to go up your chain of command, over to mine, then down to me. And that could take weeks to a month, and somebody has to sign off on it. So it takes too long. I would expedite the process. If you're doing these day-to-day activities with regards to cleaning up blight or cleaning up illegal dumping, you should be able to talk to the attorney that's assigned to dealing with it. So that's what I plan to do. And with regards to this, we need also these subject matter experts and not subject matter expertise. Enthusiasts. And so we've been getting enthusiasts and not people who actually know the law and how to move things forward. With regards to blight and illegal dumping, I don't know if people know this, but for months, even before 2020 started, illegal dumping, the enforcement had stopped for a while. And also blight had stopped for a couple months just because people were debating about the font size of the notices. So that's not a legal issue, that's a stylistic issue. So if it's not a legal issue, we should be moving things forward, cleaning up Oakland. And I think that's the best way of helping small business renters and also small property owners, because no one wants to go to work and see trash. No one wants to bring their kids to school and see trash. No one wants to go to a park and see graffiti. So we need to be more active with regards to enforcement and streamline the enforcement process with the city attorney's office.
Thank you. This issue is near and dear to my heart because I lived on the Stanford campus for 9 years and didn't see any trash. Came back to Oakland and was hoping Jerry Brown would do something about it. I even wrote him. So all of you have a chance to address this issue. And thank you, Eli. Next, we will go to Try and go.
Thanks, Norma. And by the way, I would love to hear about that red flag because I don't have all the answers, and this is about coming together and being collaborative, and I would love to hear it. Regarding illegal dumping and blight, in the short term, I will talk with the executive branch to see what options we have regarding cleaning up those areas. I want to quantify the problem, know exactly which areas and how much illegal dumping is occurring there, prioritizing which areas so to clean up first, and also hearing the voices of the people as their representative, bringing political pressure to the executive branch to bear on the executive branch so that they actually take action. In the long term, illegal dumping occurs when there is blight and we have a number of vacant properties, whether it be a lot, whether it be empty home that someone is holding as investment. Like I said before, I'm committed to ensuring that housing is created for all Oaklanders. We have a shortage of housing and it's causing our community to become less racially and economically diverse. So I'm willing to increase the taxes on vacant property. And I don't know if that's the red flag that you're talking about there, but I had a feeling taxes are not a good word. And I want to work with the community to make sure that we don't have vacant property which then causes urban blight, which then causes illegal dumping.
Thank you for your transparency and thank you for your comments. Next, we will hear from Seneca regarding illegal dumping and our trashy streets.
So illegal dumping is actually my #1 issue. It is a soul-crushing, morale-depleting, daily occurrence for most of us residents here. Every day as we walk out our door, it is just a shame. What I would do is first, we need to have a drastic cleanup effort with so many dollars allocated to homeless and encampments. It should be some money available for cleanup. Simply put, you need to clean up our house and keep it that way. And what I mean by that is we've taken all hands on deck effort, hopefully in early to mid-February of 2021, that will involve a week-long effort, neighborhood by neighborhood, similar to National Night Out, that encourages individual neighbors to go out and help, and everything that we can do with the support of the city, county, and state to really get a hold of this dramatic problem. It really has gotten out of control at this point. It's just really out of control. We've taken drone footage of some of the Wood Street encampments that we've walked through to meet our neighbors there, because they are our neighbors too. And it's really a few individuals attributed to the blight. We need escalating fines, to cap a fine, and know that I can run a cost-benefit analysis and run a business, just knowing that even if I do get caught and how infrequent it is, that I'm going to be able to continuously dump in these neighborhoods as a business and actually run my business model on the fact that West Oakland is a sacrifice zone and has been for decades in the city of Oakland. It's a shame. It is aggressive. It is violent. It needs to be ended now. We cannot accept this any longer from our city officials. So we need escalating fines. We need to vehicle forfeiture from habitual offenders of dumping. And we need to be really tough. Eli, I'm looking at you. We need to be tough, brother, on this problem. We have had enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Seneca. Next, we will hear from Derek. Derek, are you muted?
Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'm not muting and unmuting myself, so maybe it's the controls. I'll pay more attention to it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I just read where San Jose gave set aside $3 million to clean up their illegal dumping, and we as a city have to do the same. I was out with Ken Houston with the Beautification Project yesterday on 101st and 102nd, right above San Leandro Boulevard. And what they're doing is he has a programmer. He's actually been hired by the county to go through to when you see a big dump site, he marks it off, tags it, puts his literature on there so that no one touches it. Then they come back, you know, all geared up, PPE and gloves and masks and all kind of stuff. And they go through the garbage and they look for mail. They look for anything with an address, and they look to see if there's any toxics. I was out by Stonehurst, I believe it's Stonehurst Elementary School. There was a lot of lead paint that was dumped. It smelled like urine and feces. And they have this mural up on the fence with all the kids' pictures that actually have attended that school that said, "We want flowers and beautification, not garbage." You know, that's heartbreaking. And it's a shame that our city, that we haven't done anything and that the incumbent hasn't been out to any of these areas and address the neighborhood association and address people like Ken. And when you have a poor relationship with the county, you know, we can't do this alone. You have to have, and you're in this position, you can't be so worried about your next political career that you're not doing the job that you've been elected to do presently, which is, you know, take care of these major issues. Homelessness, no solution there, it's doubled. Illegal dumping is getting more crazier and crazier by the day. I mean, it looks like
15 more seconds.
it looks like a third world nation out at the Coliseum BART station. Also, another program I would like to implement is all the homeless. Let them go around and pick up all the, you know, give them a garbage bag or garbage bin daily. They can check it out, go out and get recyclables. They can turn those into the recyclables, makes the recycle center, make some money. They can clear out trash. We can have students with some stipends out there helping, and we really got to beef up the relationships with our neighborhood associations and our local businesses, because right outside of the dumping area was right outside of an industrial sheet manufacturing, I believe, company. Call them, talk to them, make them have some accountability too, and be responsible for cleaning it up.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. I did see and took a picture of a program in close to Berkeley where a private group is being paid to clean up the streets. And I wanted to show that to our representatives here in Oakland.
We have to put hope back into our citizens and into our communities, and we can't do that with trash all over the place.
That's so true. Nancy, would you like to address this issue?
Thank you.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
one of the problems that we have in Oakland is we have been losing staff right and left, and the city has not been hiring. They've been hiring for new positions in the city, but they haven't been hiring for the positions that desperately need to be filled. And like I mentioned before, we passed laws and ordinances in this city to raise money for inspectors and people to go around and check the garbage for names and addresses and stuff. And as soon as those are passed, guess what? The positions are not filled, but the city continues to collect the money. This problem is not just started. This has been going on for a long time because Oakland has been a neglectful city when it comes to being safety oriented and watching with what's coming in. We have a privacy committee that does not allow cameras to be put up in Oakland. That needs to change for certain areas because the locations of dumping are very well known to the Public Works Department, and they need to have access to who is dumping so they can read the license plate numbers and go after these people. A lot of the people coming into Oakland, besides being construction people, are also coming in from Hayward, Richmond, etc., and have been caught coming in from other cities to dump in Oakland. So we have a serious issue, and it's not something that we can solve overnight, but we as a community, like I mentioned in the beginning, we need to come together to be the eyes and ears in this city to start looking for what is going on and not afraid to speak up to let people know what's going on. This is part of the problem is we want everybody else to do it for us, but we don't do it ourselves. And that's part of the problem, and we need to change that. I mean, I walked out, every day I walk out and there's all kinds of food stuff thrown out on my street. And it's neighborhood people doing it. I mean, so we have a problem that, what are we teaching our children at home?
15 seconds.
And that's the problem. I mean, this is bigger than big. We can come up with all kind of ideas. We can clean our own streets. We can out there and do cleanup days on the weekends and stuff. However, this is bigger than just that. It's not going to go away. You can pick it up today, and tomorrow another dump load is going to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. I have lost track of who has spoken or who started to speak on this issue. Who was the first person to speak about illegal dumping? Who has not spoken about illegal dumping? Has everyone spoken about it now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Troy was the first one.
That went by so fast that I'm sorry, I did kind of lose track. Okay, our next question is, what should Oakland do to bring more commerce to our city? And we will start with, did I start with Eli? Okay, then we'll start with Try.
Yep.
Thank you.
We need to make it more affordable for people to live in Oakland. A lot of businesses are struggling to hire because their workers can't even afford to live here. So everything I said about building more housing applies to this situation, but let me just speak on encouraging small businesses and the Oakland economy. I am focused on supporting local businesses and keeping money in Oakland, because when we keep money in Oakland, it's better for our economy. When money leaves Oakland, that's not good for our economy. I think that we need to reduce the requirements for for residents to start businesses. So we need to be creative about how do we find sources of funding to enable folks who historically have been left out of building wealth to start businesses. That includes the African American community, that includes the minority community. Let's figure out how to reduce the requirements for them getting loans to start businesses. And then the first couple years of a business is the most dangerous. So we need to support them during that time. Let's look into reducing whatever fees we can to mitigate that risk. Sorry, I don't want to use the word mitigate. There's a better word there. It's too fancy a word, to reduce that risk. And I think that another source of risk is unresponsive government. I've heard from business owners who were setting out to invest $1 million in ramping up, in renovating, some historic building downtown, and delays in working with City Hall, that actually results in potential failure for that business. So we need to be right on it in terms of responding to small businesses. And we have to be responsive to them during this COVID crisis and enable them to open restaurants, for instance. I support what's happening with the Flex Streets program. Honestly, I support that long-term too, because I support an Oakland that is walkable, that is dense, that is good for the environment. So those are some ideas, but I'm all ears, honestly.
Thank you, Try. Next, we will hear from Seneca.
Love this question.
How to bring commerce to our city.
As a small business owner, I want to do that as well. It is hard out here for small-owned businesses, especially Black businesses. It's going to only be harder due to COVID-19, as we're seeing record bankruptcies and a devastating economic effect on all businesses. So we need to have a level of pragmacy when we're looking at what actual money can we bring to our city. What are our strengths and what are our weaknesses? Right? I believe that we have an incredible climate. I think that we should double down on agriculture as a staple industry. We should look harder as cannabis, as a cash crop, something that we can citywide and really, I can tell you from being a gardener, we have really good weather for that. We could do a lot more to grow food and food insecurities, give people jobs, and make money for our city by thinking outside the box and taking advantage of some of the things that we have here, especially as you look at a lot of other agricultural places have to deal with yearly fires. So there will be a shift in landscape and how agriculture is done in the state of California, just to global warming and how things are shaping up, right? So we should look at that as an opportunity. We should look at opportunities like Howard Terminal. I know there's some questions coming up. I've been doing a lot of research on that. There are some opportunities there as well, if that pans out in a way that's beneficial to the community. I agree with Tree. We also need to reduce the logjam in our city, where people are not able to get things done, who are well-meaning people who want to move fast, and because of our bureaucracy and our city not able to function at a high level, we're not able to get it done. I've been able to go to downtown businesses downtown that are finally opening. Finally, it took, I don't know, 5 months, 4 months. Other cities around us have been opening for months. They enjoyed the whole summer and were able to make money. While our bars and restaurants downtown sat on the sideline, every day more anxious and more insecure economically about the future. It's a shame that we have the representation that we have in the city that shows no sense of urgency in helping our small businesses.
Okay, thank you, Seneca. Next, we will hear from Derek Johnson.
Okay, well, you're speaking right to the person. I'm talking from experience on this one. I am a small business owner who has employed hundreds of Oaklanders, including many formerly incarcerated and chronically unemployed people. And I've seen the power of small business to create thriving communities. First and foremost, we need to help small businesses keep Oaklanders working. We have to keep our people and get our people back to work. Work directly in our community to provide small business owners with tools that work, like low interest microloans and city fee waivers for struggling businesses to keep employees working, and help neighborhoods thrive in even tough times. We have to protect commercial corridors. We must prevent commercial corridors from withering away and becoming ghost towns. I exist there in Jack London. Everyone comes to Jack London thinking it's a flourishing economic center with retail and restaurants, and there's only a few restaurants left. We also need to create new local jobs with a public benefit. New public-private partnerships can provide support for our local businesses in an effort to create new employment opportunities for our people that will serve a public benefit, i.e. improving our parks and public spaces. Now's the time to put our people back to work and jobs that not only help them make ends meet, but also help them improve the broader community. So I'm a very big advocate for making sure that small businesses not only strive, but we thrive. I also feel we need a financial literacy hub where small businesses can go, especially in the African-American businesses, because when we go and get loans, we not only don't get the amount of money that we need to be successful, we also don't get the services that come along with those loans that our white counterparts get. Our businesses today are closing 47% in relation to 17% to our white counterparts. 15 seconds. So we need to get the advertising, accounting, and all the consulting, and if we create it, and the city can do this, create a financial literacy hub, that can help us with our marketing and just, handling our finances and showing us how to pivot, especially in these unprecedented times.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, part of Oakland's problem, one of Oakland's main problems is it's a crime-riddled city. And that's one of the reasons businesses don't want to come here. Illegal dumping, another reason. The mess that our streets are in are another reason. We have the money, we have the residents away from Oakland because Oakland is not a business-friendly city. We have no staffing anymore in the city of Oakland that knows anything about economic development, and that's part of a major problem. That started going out the door when Robert Bob left Oakland, and we haven't been able to bring anybody back that is well versed in economic development of the city. Council people keep going out to different job fairs to bring businesses to Oakland, but they don't want to come. I mean, I can give you an example of Karen's Flowers that had a beautiful shop out here on MacArthur in East Oakland, and she had to move her shop because she was being vandalized and they were loitering in front of her house and she couldn't get them to move. So these are the things that we need to start looking at, is that what is keeping business away? It is us, the people, not fighting for our city and demanding change at City Hall. Like I said before, we need to come together. This is our city. We need to run our city and not rely on city council and the mayor to run our city, because they don't pay attention to us after the election's over. So these are the things that we need to start looking at. Safeway's robbed all the Safeways are robbed 2 or 3 times a day. I mean, and you know, these are issues that need to be addressed. And look at all the people who've gone to San Jose, Emeryville, Walnut Creek, etc. A lot of those people came from Oakland, and they learned what not to do in Oakland, and they took what they knew and how to do it to those cities and built those cities up. We have no sales tax base.
15 seconds.
We are a cash poor city. Even though we have a lot of money coming in, we don't know where it is. And that's one of the reasons I'm calling for a major audit for the city of Oakland by an outside agency to find out what Oakland has been doing with the money that they've been bringing in, and why we aren't getting the services that we so well deserve based on the taxes that we pay, which are the highest taxes in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we will hear from Eli.
Attorney, I will be the chief legal advisor for the city of Oakland. One of the things I really want to do is have a specific CEQA attorney with the California Environmental Quality Act to get ahead of projects before they're being built, so everybody knows beforehand. Once again, increasing transparency, knowing what's required, what needs to be done, so we're not stopping and log jamming projects from being done. Another thing I would like to see is streamline the process for buildings to be opened up, and not just for housing, but also for businesses, where code enforcement has to come in beforehand. If you're opening a restaurant, you need the county health to come in. You also need fire inspection to come in, right? To let you know how many people you can have in there. So we need to really streamline the process. It's really hard to ascertain what the process is right now on the city's website. So I think we need to streamline that. We need to get people within different departments within the city to come together and streamline that process. So those are things I've thought about. During my tenure at the city attorney's office, I dealt with a lot of restaurants and bars, and a lot of the problems they were having were they felt that we only came out when it was time to give them citations, right? To ding them when they were bad. But we never taught them, and we would try to teach them new rules and policies beforehand so they're not getting dinged. So we shouldn't be using these citations as a way of getting tax money, right? It scares away business. They don't want to see us around. But we should really be helping them when they're paying for projects like the Deemed Approved program. We should be helping, assisting, and teaching business owners how to make money and how to stay in compliance versus taxing them and fining them whenever there's a little problem. So those are things I would like to do as a city attorney.
Thank you, Eli. Our next question is, what will you do to encourage Oakland's various interest groups to work together collaboratively to uplift the city? And we will start with Seneca.
Could you repeat the question, please? You said, what would you do to work with various Oakland interest groups to do what to uplift the city?
Yeah. What will you do to encourage Oakland's various interest groups to work collaboratively to uplift the city?
Copy that. So you mean like in it together, like this group?
Yes.
Awesome. That takes leadership. Real leadership is able to coalition build. Real leadership is able to get people to see a common goal and install a sense of urgency for that group to work together. When you have a city elected to just manage problems and not lead our way out of it, what you see is a lack of cohesion amongst these groups, and people seeming to have to endear themselves to different candidates so that they have their voices heard. The trickle-down effect of that is a very unhealthy process, where now in D3, we get to see $60,000 or so in mailers sent out a week for a very local city council race election that could be going to helping people who are outside maybe. So things are getting muddled, and it's very alarming how we're doing local politics and leaving out these interest groups. These interest groups are our strength. They are indicative of sorry, I don't know who that is. They are indicative of the diversity and just how much talent that we have in our district, just how many people are civic minded and really want to be a part of the change. So I would work together with them by making sure that I'm available for each, that I actually show up to meetings and not send staffers in my place. and make myself available to everyone. I have a one-year promise. As many of you know, if I'm elected, I'm not leaving D3 my first year at all. I know many people have questions about that. That means not leaving the district, right? Not Berkeley, not Alameda, right? Not any of the other stuff that I do. I'm not going on vacation. The district will be my home, and making sure that I am working with these organizations and giving them my priorities so they can actually work together and really be an effective change in Oakland. I know that it's possible, and that's really what I love the most about this city, is that we have so many people who care so much.
Thank you, Seneca. Next, we will hear from Derek Johnson.
You know, I would utilize my expertise in bringing the public and private sectors together to form new partnerships to protect our most vulnerable and restore jobs, housing, and economic security. We need to unite community groups in a new spirit of civic participation. We must bring together neighborhood associations, faith-based organizations, and other community-minded groups to work together in new ways. I am being mentored by the Honorable Elihu Harris. I know when he was in office, he brought all the different agencies and municipalities together to have a meeting and figure out how they can address the different issues in the city, because it is a collaborative effort. And people need to understand that the city can't do all of this on their own. There's too many other partners that we work with that are intertwined with the city, and we need to have great relationships with them. We can't be a divisive city council. We can't be divisive with the county, and we can't be divisive with the state. We need to unify if now or never. I would bring subject matter experts to the table from all sides of an issue and sit them down, and we need to have a discussion. I've reached out to people that have criticized me and I was told not to on social media. I've never had social media before until now. And I just reached out and talked to them like, you're criticizing me, but you don't know me. You haven't talked to me. And I think that happens so much, and I'm surprised that it happens so much during this process. I've talked to so many people on both sides of issues, and I've just asked, have you all talked to one another? The answer is always no. That's not how you build community. That's not how you resolve an issue. And that just brings more tension and divisiveness. And we already have that on a national level. We don't need to have that on a local level. I would promote unity. I'd promote togetherness. And like Seneca just said, my office will always be open. I will get back to you. I will be accessible. Like I'm on this call right now. I'll be on this call when I'm in
15 seconds.
I will be on that call. I'll be on these calls when I'm on the seat. I engage in the community of Oakland. It's a lifestyle for me. It's just not something that I'm doing because I'm running for office. I've always done it. I've been in the community, and I will stay in the community.
Thank you, Derek. Next, we will hear from Nancy Sidebotham.
Thank you. One of the things that's lacking in the city of Oakland, we have a lot of groups out there, but none of the groups work together. I have to say that I was in awe, and this is not the first time that I've been in awe of West Oakland, with all of you coming together, all the neighborhoods coming together and stuff. This is not done in other parts of the city, and I think that how you guys have functioned together and work for your community, that needs to be reached out across the city. There are other cities out there that are working together, union people, the ministers, the senators, council people are all coming together and working to come up with solutions without attacking each other and discussing this. And this needs to be something that starts at our level, at the residents' level. We can't rely on the council and the mayor. We need to build a force amongst ourselves so that when we do speak up and we ask them to get involved, that they are going to listen to us, not turn around and point fingers or just say yes and lip service us and then go on and do about their business. That's part of the reason that Oakland does not function. We have people that run for office, that give a good spiel, get elected, and guess what? The election's over and they're doing what they ran for office to do, and that is their personal agendas or the agendas of the people that they were running for office for and not the community. That needs to change. We need to start holding ourselves accountable for why we live here, what we expect out of the city, and what we are willing to fight and work for. This is not something that is going to go anytime soon. We have, like I said, a lot of groups in the city all over the place, and new ones pop up every day because guess what? There's ways of building nonprofits and stuff to get jobs or to get, financing and stuff because they think that's the way to go, but they aren't really working for the community. We need to clean up this and bring people together so that we start working as a unit. And then we're going to bring around change to the city of Oakland, because people aren't going to want to mess with those that are standing up for themselves, which we have not done to date. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we'll hear from Eli. Are you muted?
You hear me?
Now we can.
So what everybody's basically saying today is the reality of it is, and this has been my encounters with people, everybody wants a better Oakland. A lot of times people can't agree on how to make Oakland better. So the reality of that is we really have to sit down and talk to people, and people really appreciate when they're being heard. And a lot of times when people don't feel they're being heard, that's when they're getting aggressive towards people. If they think you're siding with one person over another, they believe that you're listening to one group over their group, they get frustrated because they feel that their elected should be listening to them. Their elected should be bridge makers and not be burning the bridges down. And you see this a lot of times nowadays, and especially with the city attorney's office, where you have the city attorney should not be implementing policies, they should be enforcing the policies. They should feel that the city attorney is an individual who is not bringing their own ideas into a situation, but listening to the council members and listening to the community, and everybody should feel that they're getting a fair shake, and it just doesn't happen. So once again, everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants better for Oakland, but we have to make sure everybody feels they're being heard, that everybody's coming to the table and they can contribute. So I think that's what we could do to do a little bit better with regards to including everybody and making people understand that we all want better for Oakland, and we can all do better for Oakland.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Try. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Try or Try? It is Try? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My bad. I said Tree. My apologies, Try.
Seneca, it's all good, man. I appreciate you. You know, behind all these interest groups is a ton of love and concern, I hope, for most of them, from most of them. A lot of love and concern for our city. They care a lot. Clearly, it's not enough, though, these interest groups, because it's led to where we are today. And I want to second what Seneca is saying. Leadership is what is needed. And leadership specifically in the area of expanding participation in local government. If you go on my website, you'll see that my mission is a local government that includes every voice. And to do that, what I will do is implement an online voting system that enables folks who normally wouldn't participate in government to be aware of the things that we're voting on in council. And only by raising the level of awareness, raising the level of political pressure, can we get interest groups, can we dilute the influence of interest groups in the cases where they are kind of impeding progress. We have to change the political landscape. So the online voting platform, which I'm committed to ensuring everyone has access to, you know, we will have kiosks in libraries. I understand not everyone has, you know, is computer literate. Also, we need to continue these online meetings. It took COVID to make this happen. It took COVID to get 40 people to talk to each other. That is not acceptable. We don't need COVID to get us to participate. And you know it's changed government. You know it has made an impact. So I want to continue having these low barrier to entry participation opportunities for people that are not so focused. 10 seconds. And then I was inspired by someone who met me at the Temescal Farmers Market. She said, Try, I think that high school students should research what the city council is voting on using your online platform and then do a book report on it. I think that's amazing. That's what we need. And that's what I'm committed to. That's the leadership that I'm bringing. That's different from what everyone else has been doing.
Thank you, Try. I want to ask a question. You've mentioned the online voting system. Is that for issues that the city council is considering, or is that for national elections? I'm not sure what you mean by an online voting system.
It would be for Oakland issues. It would be for our local government. It's not for, because it needs to happen for us now. And right. And I can't pass something alone. I need the support of all Oaklanders across all districts to pass something. So it needs to be Oakland-wide. and we need to be a leader in strengthening our democracy. As you see, our democracy needs a little strengthening right now.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see, we have a question about funding, but I'm not sure if that one is still on the table.
Hey, I wanted to interrupt. Norma, do you
Go
mind?
right ahead.
So we had a number of the folks in the group who worked to put this together had asked Lynette to come by because
Yes.
we felt like although she's not a challenger, she's been alone on the city council and she's worked really, really hard for our district. She's worked in particular hard for West Oakland, and she's also the Department of Violence Prevention is potentially transformative, and I just she's also been singled out in ways that a lot of women that I spoke to felt were unfair. So women that I ran into when I was canvassing, I don't know if any of them are on this chat, but they supported her. They wanted her to have a chance to speak. So Lynette, I hope you're here and can take it away.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Elise.
Hi, Lynette.
Hi. I'm really delighted to be with you and appreciate you all bringing together this important forum and allowing voices that are here to debate how we move Oakland forward, to give them a platform and an opportunity to meet with each of you. It's good to hear from Eli, who I've known in his work in City Hall for many, many years, working on neighborhood issues and the issues of concern to our blocks. And so, Mr. Farron, I hope you and your family are doing well. And to Derek Johnson, a good friend who, you know, before and beyond politics has been doing incredible work to help us with our violence prevention efforts, hiring formerly incarcerated and really holding folks up and mentoring other businesses to do the same. So Mr. Johnson, sending my appreciation to you and to each of you who have stepped into this arena. Much respect. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of time and diligence to engage in this public conversation. I certainly know this because in 2012, I didn't have the backing of any of these political groups that are out here. I didn't have any major endorsement. My largest gift at that time came from a woman at the church we call Big Mama. And Big Mama's long retired, but she gave me $250 and I just about cried. I said, oh my goodness. And we put that into the campaign, and it became then and is now still the guiding force for how I do this work. This is a watershed moment in Oakland and in the country. And for really kind of different reasons and what feels to me to be different kinds of tensions along the same continuum. So one of the things that I really want to encourage each of you is you're going to the ballot box of your living room, staying safe, COVID safe, as you begin to do your voting, to remain rooted in love, to move beyond progressive rhetoric and start to look at our authentic market realities. And that we together, I'm a voter in this district, as you all are, we're going to be making some choices about who is the best team to carry us forward in COVID, in this time of racial justice reform, in this time that we're looking at trying to hold on to the whole of ourselves in business and in health. And so I've presented myself after a long and exhaustive prayer time with my husband, you know, to come back into this service, because you all can hear karma. This is campaigning from home. Because I think Oakland is worth fighting for, and I will not abandon the mission at this time. I think it's so important to continue to stand up for our neighborhoods and to make sure that we're more beholden to the people than we are to any interest. It's so fascinating to me that the District 3 seat that had one challenger, I think, in 2016, has become so interesting for everybody now. But I'm going to continue to do the work that we're doing on COVID recovery. I don't know if I've lost everybody.
We can hear you.
Anymore. Okay, good. I was like, I can't see anybody anymore. On COVID recovery, where, you know, in District 3, we've been on the ground dealing with COVID since the Grand Princess docked in February. It opened up new opportunities for me to speak to the governor, to the Governor's Recovery Council, to begin to look at the way that we deal with public health in our county. And we forge new partnerships with the state and the county that I believe will continue to serve us well as we move forward. But on the health situation, you all, we're losing a lot of lives in Oakland. Please stay safe and take this pandemic seriously. Economically, you heard Mr. Johnson say, our statistics around business survival are great. Our businesses are struggling. And so while the public health officer, the Alameda County public health officer has just allowed our businesses to open, you know, as Mr. Scott was talking about, we have been fighting for that.
We lost you.
Lynette, we lost you. Your signal cut out.
I think we got to keep it moving.
Okay, so were there any questions from the audience that you want us to address now?
As a co-host, I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
I am one of the members of this group In It Together. I'm an owner-occupied housing provider, and we are 0.5% of Oakland's rental market. We have been combined with developers and corporate landlords and vilified and blamed for the high rents that Oakland has. There are so many reasons for the high rents in Oakland. One of the primary ones is constant increases in property taxes that happen. With these property taxes going up in disproportionate amounts to the CPI that we're allowed to raise the rents, along with contracts awarded to utility companies that are disproportionately put on small property owners, small housing providers. The cost of business taxes for small-time housing providers is disproportionate to the small-time business taxes of other small businesses in the city. And my question to you is, what are you going to do to help the small niche of housing providers in this city that help keep the city housed when others wouldn't? Through many housing crises and crunches, the mom and pop landlords have kept our communities housed at rates lower than the general public, than the mass amounts of rentals. So what are you going to do to help this niche market of small business owners in Oakland that have helped make this city what it is and invested for a long time?
Thank you, Hillary. I'm going to limit the responses to 1 minute, and we'll start with Derek. Are you here, Derek?
Unmute.
So we'll go to Nancy.
No, here I am. Can you hear me?
All right, Derek. Yes.
My apology. I don't know. It keeps going to, okay, I got it. I think first and foremost that the city needs to get out of the regulatory business. I would like to see us defer to the state, who has, you know, extensive tenant protection, and let them enforce it. We already are, you know, have a deficit in our budget, and the money that we are collecting can go directly into the hands of those that need it to help them to stop with rental assistance or down payment on mortgages for first-time home buyers. I mean, there's a lot that money that we can do. But I would also really look at the protections that have been put in place. I believe 60 were just passed a couple of weeks ago, which is, you know, pretty aggressive. And we need to, you know, when we're writing legislation, and I believe, you know, what Tree kind of is implementing or suggesting, we need to really be engaged with the community. If you're not a business owner, if you're not a property owner, and yet you're authoring legislation, where are you getting your information from? Where are you getting your true life experience of how the legislation you're writing is impacting our community? If you're not engaged in the community, like the incumbent in my seat I'm going for is not engaged at all. So I would like to look at having some kind of tier system, or when we start writing legislation, write it so that it does not, you know, that is justified and is equitable, so that those that have these huge developments going up aren't, you know, we're not classified, and I say we because I'm a small landlord as well, that we're not classified in the same grouping as they are, just like with small businesses. And we're taxed and we're treated differently.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Next, we'll hear from Nancy.
Yes, thank you. As a landlord and having visited this a number of times since this started raising its ugly head for the last year, this is something that needs to be addressed by the city as a whole and not just by a couple of city council people whose personal interest has to do with the nonprofits they're involved with. And they need to start representing the community that they have been elected to represent. And I will keep going back to that because that's part of Oakland's problem is we keep electing people that lie and make up stuff while they campaign. And when they get in office, all of a sudden their principles and their objectives change and they start working against those that they made promises to. I have a tenant that has been there over 35 years, pays me $600 a month rent. My mortgage is $1,300. She raised her own rent on me last year by $50, so now she's paying me $650. I have another tenant who didn't pay me rent at all this month. I asked her, are you going to be able to pay me $14,000 in April? No. She got laid off from the Coliseum way back when and was out of work for a year.
5
She
seconds.
didn't pay me and she's still there and she's been over there over 25 years. So the name of the game is we need to start looking at how we are dealing with the mom and pop households in the city, the landlords that are being dissed, the banks that are not allowing us to forego paying our loans back right now and our mortgages because they can get away with it, but yet we have to deal with possibly losing our houses in foreclosure next year because we haven't been able to make our payments because our tenants aren't paying us. This is a round robin that was not discussed properly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Norma, how much time are there? Is it still 2 minutes or did we change the amount of time?
We changed it to 1 minute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, gotcha.
Because we only have 5 minutes left. Eli, can you address this question?
Yes. Basically, in my mind, when we're creating new laws, we should be transparent about these new laws. We should be inviting people from the community in, not just people who are representing tenants, right? So we should be open and honest about what we're doing, who's involved in the process, and making everybody aware of what the process is. Once again, bringing everybody to the table when we're creating these new laws. People don't feel comfortable with the system when they're not being brought to the table and they're not being told anything until the day of or a couple days before new legislation is being brought forward. So no one feels comfortable with that. When I get into office, everything's going to be transparent. I'm going to be working with everybody, not just one group or not just with a group of people that I've hired, and just to make people look better, just to pad my policy, right? Because as Derek said, there's 60 new things of policy coming forward, and why is that being done? It's an election year. People they want to look good. They want to pad their policy. They could have done some of these things years ago, decades ago, and they didn't do it. So I'm not going to just come to people when it's election time. I plan to work with people. I plan to be transparent and thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eli. Next, we'll hear from Tri.
We must stop vilifying members of our community. That includes landlords and business owners. Look, there are definitely, it's a different position of power. Yes, I understand. There are definitely landlords, like there are police officers that abuse that power. But that is not I don't believe that's the majority of folks. We definitely need to protect tenants, but at the same time, we have a crisis of housing right now, and we need to keep everyone together. The message of love is super important to me, and I am not aligned with vilifying anybody. So that's my answer to that question. My approach, my principles are, I'm coming from love, I'm coming from generosity, and I'm coming from forgiveness, and I'm coming from creativity and moving forward. We need to see what are the issues that would prevent a small landlord from providing housing. I know that there are issues around
Thank
time.
you, time. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would support that as long as it provides more housing.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Seneca.
So I've rented from both property management companies that control many properties and from my own community. So I understand the differences and the nuances from renting from a community member than renting from a big bank. If we're not careful with this second round of wealth transfers that are going to be extremely intense due to the pandemic and the economic fallout, if we're not careful with our policies, we're going to end up with the banks owning everything. It's a counterproductive policy to push property owners who are voters and residents of the city, especially people who live in their residence and in their duplexes, some kind of enemy or quote unquote profiteer from some propaganda that I've read out there. At the same time, in the Black community, we tell people a pathway to wealth is to invest in investment property. It's really interesting. You hear both sides. You hear people switch from camp to camp, depending on what group they're in front of. And it's very manipulative and it's disingenuous. We need to make sure that everyone's supported through this pandemic to the best of our ability.
Time.
There you go.
Thank you,
That's a good way to end it.
Thank you. We should have started with this question. What do we do now, Elise? Because our time is up. Should we have them wrap up or should we continue on with questions?
We should have folks wrap up. We do have another 15 minutes before we're going to get kicked off, but the candidates were expecting this to end at 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give people a chance to make a 1-minute statement. I know David had an announcement to make. I'd like to give him that opportunity as well. And we will, I am going to send out an email with a roundup of the questions and ask candidates to respond to the questions that didn't get answered. And I'll post the answers on the website.
May I suggest that everybody have a 1-minute roundup and then David conclude the meeting since he started the meeting.
Sounds good.
Who would you like to go first?
Go in alphabetical order or go ahead, Derek, you're unmuted. Go for it.
Okay, I can go. Well, I just want to thank all of you in it together and for organizing this and just being organized yourselves and taking action in the city. You know, what really bothers me as a native Oaklander and a Black man, today, Aaron Pryor, a 15-year-old kid, was killed on Elizabeth Street off of Seminary. And it's the 6th homicide in 4 days. Oakland, we're at 72 homicides. We were at 51 last year this time. Crime is going up, and that's very scary. We need to make sure that we put safety now and that we protect those in our vulnerable communities, and I'm all for that. You put me in that seat, I will do the work. I will reform and reimagine what policing is like in our city and make sure that it goes back to a day that when I trusted the police when I was a kid, when I knew of trustworthy police officers that came from the communities in which I came from and looked like people like myself, and that, when they were sworn in to protect and serve, they did just that. And they didn't brutalize and victimize our community. So thank you once again for having me and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you for participating.
Check me out, www.johnsonforoakland.com, and vote November 3rd.
I'll go ahead. Thank you guys so much for creating this forum, for increasing participation in local government so that we increase accountability and actually take effective actions on all of the things that we see in Oakland. I'm running to provide my problem-solving skills as well as my commitment to expanding participation in local government to increase accountability. We have an opportunity here to lead, to create a new local government that could be an example for the rest of the nation. We have an opportunity here to solve homelessness, to create affordable housing, to create a public safety system that addresses the root causes and not just take punitive actions. And so I want to invite you to come on board and create the Oakland that we all love and not only create it but continue it. I know we all love the city very much, and we need to take different steps in order to preserve it.
Okay, who do you want to go next? I can go.
Go right ahead.
Again, thank you very much for having me this evening. It's been an eye-opener, understanding that we need to come together. Like I said, we cannot continue to let Oakland be run after the elections are over by just a few people. We need to be a voice in the city and take our city back. We have had outside people running Oakland from behind the scenes. We have Oakland going downhill ever since Elihu Harris was mayor. And we need to change where we are in this town. We need to look at changing back to a city manager form of government versus the strong mayor, because it's out of control. And what we elect has a lot to do with how the city is run. That's why the leadership in Oakland is so bad and has been for the last 25 years. So these are the things that we need to start looking at and the changes we need to start making. I have worked in Oakland on many, many different phases in different areas of the city and have met wonderful people. And I hate to see the fact that a lot of them are putting their houses on the market and leaving. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Seneca or Lynette?
Next. So thank you all for the opportunity. With my 1 minute, I would like to say that city council are the most local of elections. They are about the needs of the constituents who live in that district. They are not about the outside influencers and people who want to have a voice in council for their own special interest. Even when those special interests are progressive. I'll say it again. Even when those special interests are progressive, if their primary focus is not the well-being of the members of that district, they are still meddling and stepping properly. So I'm very alarmed about this election. I'm very alarmed that lots of people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars who are not in this district. They're not invested here. They don't live here. They're not willing to put that money in the pockets of the people who desperately need it during a pandemic, but they're willing to invest in someone that they believe that they can control in our city council. I am your alternative candidate. I would appreciate your vote. If not your first vote, then another vote and ranked choice. I will work hard for you every day that I'm working. But thank you. Thank you for your time here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Seneca.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hi, can y'all hear me? I'm so sorry, y'all caught me right driving. I want to thank you again for coming together, for thinking together and strategizing together in the interest of Oakland. This is a watershed election, and there are powerful interests, and the decision before us determines which way our city will go, and who will be at the helm to help us with COVID recovery, a response to our crisis, our housing crisis, as well as the economic crisis that's afoot. I want to appreciate you all for always keeping it real with me, and I know we're not always happy with me, but we do listen to one another, and we reconcile, and we have joint wisdom as we move forward. And I'm looking forward to continuing to serve you, but I need everyone's vote, and I need you to volunteer. We're being outspent 4-1. So if you have an hour, we need it. Phone bank, drop literature in a COVID safe way, come and help us continue our Lovolution, to continue the work that we've begun over the last 7 years to make Oakland more just, more livable, and secure and safe. Thank you all. Have a good night. LynetteForOakland.com.
Thank you.
I guess that's me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I'm going last. Once again, Eli Farron, running for Oakland City Attorney. And the reality is, for the city attorney position, it's too important to conduct business as usual. Unfortunately, the city attorney has been costing the city money. When you look at the failures with regards to Measure LL, Measure AA, us still being in a negotiated settlement agreement, the coal train issues, and also the California waste solution issues with regards to the contracts. I've been in the office for 12 years. I've worked with every department, be it fire, code enforcement, the police department, animal services, zoning, Department of Transportation. I've seen what the problems are. I've seen we can streamline things and we can be way more transparent. The city attorney's office can be way more transparent. We can assist individuals, and we can let individuals know what the solutions are by working with them, not against them. So I hope to work with you all in the future when I get elected. And if you can make a donation or volunteer for phone banking or lid drop, please do so. And please look me up at eliforoakland.com. That's eliforoakland.com. And thank you very much for your support, and thank you for letting me into your virtual home today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for joining us, Eli.
Well, hey, Eli, if you got my boy Dante's endorsement, I'm with you. I want to thank all of the candidates for participating tonight. Man, it is, I would not want to be in your shoes. Unfortunately, you know, our political process is just filled with so much just nastiness. And I really think, you know, for me, I would really like it to be about the issues. And that's why I just want to thank all the candidates who chose to participate tonight. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone who took an hour and a half out of their time on such a beautiful evening to participate in the democratic process. It is those of us who come together on grassroots levels that can make differences in our blocks and our communities and turn this city, this our town that we love so much, into the place that we want it to be. 2 quick announcements. We'll be hosting a state ballot measure initiative review. No candidates. Coming up soon, shortly, date to be announced. I'll be reaching out to you on that. And finally, I am proud to support my long time known friend, Derek Johnson, that I've known since high school. Born in Oakland, native of Oakland, you know, Oaklanders that have been here so long. You know, we share an energy and a culture that we're seeking to preserve from culture erasure. It is people like this that we need to have in office. And so I'm pleased and honored, along with my friend Catherine Howard, to host a fundraiser for Derek. Come and get a chance to talk to him a little bit more, deeper time to know about his positions on more of the issues. And that is going to be Wednesday from 6 to 7. And I just dropped.
You just cut out there. You just cut out. We can't hear you. We can see you.
Derek.
Muted.
I muted myself. I dropped it in the chat. I meant to.
You muted again. You're muted again. You're muted. There you go.
Yeah, somehow I keep pushing the wrong button. I'm trying to make this thing go in the chat. And maybe I should turn on the.
You're muted.
Okay, I muted myself, but I did succeed in getting it in the chat, I believe. So once again, thanks to our lovely host, Norma, our primary driver and inspirer, Elise, for conceiving of this forum. Appreciate you putting this together. And that's what's all remember. At the end of the day, we're all Oaklanders. Let's make it happen. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sit together. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you,
Thank
candidates.
you.
A lot of work. Let's just stick in there, and we're almost home. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, Eli. Take care.
I remember sleep.